Okay, so where I want to pick up on is the next page, extra practice ellipses. I want to skip down here to number 3 because this is now where I give you the equation in some other form. It's just all multiplied out. This would be considered expanded form. And what we're going to try to do is get it into a form that looks something like this up here so that it'd be easy to graph. Now you remember we did this with circles, so let's see if we can figure out what to do for these ellipses. And in fact, you can't really tell by looking if it's an ellipse or a circle. You can a little bit, but we're not really pushing that right now. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to start by making sure the constant term is on the other side. Okay, so this 8, the constant term, no variables. You want to make sure it's on the other side from the variables, which it is. And so what you want to do is, just like we did with circles, ignore the stuff here for y, and let's complete the square for x. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to start by taking out a 2 from the x stuff. So 2 times x squared plus 2x, leave some space, plus y squared equals 8. Okay, so I've just factored out the 2. You can't complete the square with a number in front of x. Remember we did that with parabolas. Okay, so now what you're going to do is take the number in front of x, which is 2, divide it by 2, that's 1, and then square it, that's 1. 1 squared is 1. So you're going to add 1 into parentheses, but what you're going to add to the other side is 2 times 1. Same thing we did with circles, did with parabolas. 2 times 1, so we're actually adding 2 to the other side. Okay? And so now what you have is you have 2 times, well, remember this factors into whatever the number was before you squared it. It was 1 before I squared it, so it's x plus 1 squared. Okay, that's the completed square now for x. Plus y squared equals 10. I don't have to complete the square for y because there's no y squared and y. So that's already set up. Okay, now listen to this next part. Very, 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 very important. Okay, if you have different numbers in front of x and in front of y, which we do, we have a 2, we have a 1. If you have different numbers, you can't have these numbers, by the way. You cannot have this 2 in front and a 1 in front. You can't have that. So if you have different numbers, what you do is you divide everything by this number over here to make it equal 1. Okay, because you know you have an ellipse if the numbers are different. Okay, so if the numbers are different, divide every part by 10 here, and now here's what you're going to have. You're going to have x plus 1 squared over 5. Now how did I get that? I reduced the 2 and the 10. Okay, plus y squared over 10, there's nothing to reduce there, equals 10 over 10, which is 1. And now you found the ellipse standard form. The center here would be -1, 0. Okay, we definitely need to do a couple more of those, so let's definitely do that. Let's move over here. I kind of wrote in the way of letter B, so I don't want to confuse you with that. So let's move over to C. Some of these in the next line are just as tough as B, so we'll go ahead and do C here. So to do letter C, let's see. We've got the constant to the other side. Okay, let's complete the square separate for x. So you take the number in front of x, which is 4, divide it by 2 to make 2, and 2 squared is 4. So we're going to add 4 to this side and add 4 to the other side. Okay, again, we took the number in front of x, divided by 2, and then squared it. Added that number to both sides. Okay, so this side over here is going to be x plus 2 squared. It was positive 2 before I squared it. Plus 2y squared equals 16. I don't have to complete the square for y on this one again because there's no y squared and y. See, this one that I ran out of room on, you'd have to do it for x and for y because you have an x squared and an x, you have a y squared and a y. Okay, we'll see that when we do letter F in the next row. Okay, so now, again, you have different numbers in front. You have a 1 here, you have a 2, so you want this whole equation to equal 1, and the way you get that is by dividing every part by 16. Okay, if you do it, you have x plus 2 squared over 16 plus y squared over 8 equals 1. I got the 8 by reducing the 2 and the 16. Okay, your center on this one would be negative 2 comma 0, and that is your equation in standard form along with the center. Okay, let's move down here. Let's move to letter E. Okay, so for letter E, we can take a 3 out here. 3 times x squared plus 6x, leave some space, plus 2y squared equals 12. All right, so I factored out the 3 from the x parts, and now I want to complete the square. I take the number in front of x, which is 6, divide it by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 3 squared is 9. So we'll add 9 in the parentheses. 3 times 9 will add 27. Again, you've got to do that 3 times 9. Not just add 9 over here. You add 3 times 9, which is 27. Now your factoring becomes 3 times, and this is going to be x plus 3 squared plus 2y squared equals, this is going to be 39. Okay, and so now what you're going to do is, because you have different numbers in front, you're going to divide every number by 39. Okay, every part. So this 3 goes into 39 13 times. So you got x plus 3 squared over 13. Plus now 2 goes into 39. Use your calculator for that. 39 divided by 2. That is going to be 19.5. So you can write it that way. Y squared over 19.5 equals 1. And again, you have an ellipse because you have a plus, equals 1, and these fractions. Okay? All right, last one. Letter F. It's got a x squared and an x, a y squared and a y. So we're going to have to do this for x and for y. All right, here we go. So we're going to start by taking out a 2 here from this first part. So 2 times x squared minus 6x. Leave some space. Okay, don't have to take anything out from the y squared minus 10y. But leave a little space there so that you can fill it in. Okay, you're going to take the number in front of x, which is negative 6, divide it by 2, that's negative 3. Square it, that's 9. So we're going to add 9 in the parentheses. But we're going to add 2 times 9, so we're going to be adding 18 over here with the 21. Again, that's the critical part. So remember to multiply by 2. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for y. We're going to take negative 10, divide by 2. That's negative 5. And we're going to square it. Negative 5 squared is 25. So we're going to add 25. We're going to add 25. We don't have to multiply by anything because there's no parentheses there. You might need to watch these questions a couple of times. Okay, and do them a couple of times. This is not easy stuff. 2 times x minus 3 squared. It was negative 3 before I squared it. Plus, this is going to be y minus 5 squared equals, now let's add all these things together, 21 plus 18 plus 25. That comes out to 64. And again, we don't want different numbers in front of our parentheses here, so divide every part by 64, and that'll get rid of it. So we're going to have x minus, whoops, I almost wrote that wrong, x minus 3 squared over 32 plus y minus 5 squared over 64 is going to equal 1. Okay? All right, now, nice thing about this lesson is that it's very similar to the lesson that we're going to do on Thursday. Okay, so you're going to get some more completing the square stuff. You're going to get more practice at it. A little practice tonight in the homework, and hopefully you're going to get the information out of the videos, watching it a couple times, and you'll feel pretty good about it after all that. So here's where we're at. We got one more lesson left to go. That's the one that we're going to do on Thursday. Then next week on Tuesday, I'm going to give you your final test, and that'll close out second semester. So hopefully you're working. You should, if you're trying to study or trying to prepare, go back and re-watch any of the videos from last week. That would be good review for you. Do some of the questions that we did together on a separate sheet as I'm doing them with you, and definitely can push you in the right direction. Okay? All right, everybody have a great day, and get this work done and submitted, and I'll see you again on Thursday. All right, bye-bye.